Hello, this is Quick Skills, and today we're going to be reviewing a 12TB hard drive found on Aliexpress. This is the third video I have put together on 12TB hard drives. However, each one is just a little bit different. So if you are interested in comparing the differences between the three, go to my channel and look for the other two videos. The other thing I do want to mention is that if you want to purchase this exact 12TB hard drive I am reviewing today, go to the description of this video. I have put a link there that'll link the exact vendor that I use to purchase, and there are so many listings for 12TB hard drives. You want to make sure that you purchase the same one that I have here in this video. One nice thing about this device is that I ordered it on October 28th and it arrived on November 2nd. I was in disbelief at how quickly it arrived, so that is a change from some of the other devices I have ordered off of AliExpress. Sometimes it can take 2 to 3 weeks to arrive, but this vendor seems to already have them in the States, and it did get here a lot quicker than I had expected. What intrigues me about this device is that it does advertise over 390 AAA games for Windows PC. However, it makes no mention of Launchbox or Hyperspin, and I can confirm that when I received mine that there is no Launchbox or Hyperspin installed. You're going to be launching all your games off of Playnite, which is a change from the other two 12TB hard drives I have reviewed. When making selections for this device, you will have an option of the European plug and the US plug, so make sure that you order accordingly. And this device does come with a USB 3 cable, which is going to allow for faster transfer speeds from the hard drive to your computer. Installation of this device was very easy. All I had to do was plug it into my computer and access the Playnite launcher. Once opened, I was able to access all my AAA games. This is a change from the other devices that did require installation of additional software. One last thing before we start this review, I do want to mention is that I will be loading up a few of these games to show you that they work, but I do not have time to test out every single game included on this hard drive. So if you see one in this video that I did not test out, but you want to make sure it works before you buy this, drop me a comment in this video. I'll load it up at home, test it out, and let you know what I think in the comments. Again, go to the description of this video and use my link to purchase this on AliExpress if you do decide to buy one, because there are so many different vendors. I want to make sure that your experience is similar to mine. Installation of this hard drive was very easy. All I had to do was plug it into my computer and look for the Hyper Base PN Ultra drive. To load Playnite, I did not need to install any additional software, and I did not need to access any of these other files included on this device. All I need to do is click the Playnite full screen button and it'll load up on my screen. I do want to mention that there is a folder labeled A Gift to You, and if you are curious to see what's inside this folder, I will be opening it up at the end of the video, so stick around if you want to see what's inside. So let's get started by loading up the Playnite full screen app. Now we have Playnite loaded up on our screen here. We can access all the AAA games included on our device. If you're unfamiliar with Playnite, you do have a few settings located here on this controller here, and you can use a PC controller or mouse and keyboard to toggle between all the options. Also, we do have a list of all games at the top, favorites, most played, and recently played. And before we test out any of the games today, let's do a complete walkthrough of all the games included on this device. And that is our list of all the games included on this 12TB hard drive. I'm quite impressed with the collection, needless to say. Some of these games I have purchased for myself, but there are a lot of games that I've been wanting to buy but never got around to it, such as this Resident Evil 4. This will be the first game that we test out. All the games that I'll be reviewing today are muted. That's just to make sure that I don't get any copyright infringements on the sound. However, you can see that Resident Evil 4, the new version, is loaded up on my screen. I am able to play it just as I would expect. It is the PC port of the game. I was able to go into settings and toggle it to my own graphical capabilities of my computer, so as long as you can run Resident Evil 4 at home, then you should be able to run Resident Evil 4 off this hard drive. Next up, we have Spiderman Remastered. This is a newer Spider-Man PC port of the game. Alright, we have Spider-Man Remastered loaded up on Playnite. Looks as gorgeous as ever. Here we see Spider-Man scaling up the wall. I never really did play this game. I never had a PlayStation, but with this 12TB hard drive, I am able to play Spider-Man at home from the comfort of my gaming computer. So we can verify that Spider-Man works with no issue off this device. See if we can find a baddie. Let's go ahead and switch over to another game. Next up, we have God of War. This is one that I've never played. Also, it looks really good, so we'll go ahead and see how it performed. Here is something that I encountered. Sometimes the games load up in a different language. You will be able to change the settings. For the language, you will need to use a device like Google Translate to help you find the settings to change it to English. So I'm going to do that here for you now. So as you can see, it was a little bit of a trick to get the English settings. However, once you do that, the game's going to perform exactly as you would expect it to. So here we have God of War loaded up. The graphics are gorgeous. I am using a 3080 RTX at home. Your graphics and experience will vary depending on the own capabilities of your own computer. I do want to stress that all the games on here are running off of a PC engine, and I'm using a PC controller, so all the buttons are exactly where they would be on your screen in correspondence with your controller. Sometimes when emulating games off of a system, the controllers always need to be remapped. This has not been the issue so far for the 3 games that I've tested. Another thing I want to mention is the rumble feature on my controller is in sync with the game. So if you have a rumble feature controller, that experience will not be lost with any of these games emulated here today. I've had no issues playing God of War so far. However, I have just done the tutorial, but all the buttons that pop up on screen correspond with my controller. There's been no issues. Other than switching from Chinese to English, there's been no issues loading the game and no additional software needed to be installed on my computer. And now we'll go ahead and switch over to the next game. Here we have Baldur's Gate 3. We're going to give this a go. This is actually a game that I'm quite excited for because I never got to play it. Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that I've been looking to play. It does have this warning here of early access. This is an early access build, and I don't know if we can update it. So because I'm not familiar with this game, I'm not sure if we're going to have any issues playing or if there's going to be any differences from what a paid version of this game is going to have. We are required to allow Baldur's Gate 3 some access here, so we'll go ahead and give it permission. So after giving it permission, I am able to access the character creation screen. So let's go ahead and skip through this. I do want to mention I am using mouse and keyboard here. My PC controller is not configured to this device. I do want to also mention that we have this early access version here on the right hand side of the screen. So if there's been any updates or changes or rebalances of this game, I don't know that we're going to have them here. If you are someone that's wanting true experience, you may not want to buy this device for Baldur's Gate 3 because I cannot ensure that your experience is going to be exactly like the one that everyone is playing currently. And that early access is just up there on the top of the screen. We do have a functioning game here with Baldur's Gate 3. We just don't know if this is going to be exactly like Baldur's Gate 3 that's out in the wild, that is being constantly supported and updated. And that is a trade-off that you'll have to decide if it works for you or not. But the game is working and there is a playable build of this game for you to access. Let's go ahead and switch over to the next game. Next up we have Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So I have tried to load Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I have Assassin's Creed Valhalla is running. However, I don't see it anywhere on my screen. I can't access it. And I don't know if I'm not doing it right, but when I try to launch the game, nothing happens. We'll give it one more try. Oh, and second time is a charm. So I'm not sure what happened there, but the first time I loaded up Assassin's Creed, nothing happened, but this second one seems to be working just fine. I will say that all the games that I have loaded up today were pretty snappy, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla did take me a few minutes to get into the game. But here we have it finally loaded up, and we are in the intro sequence of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So here we have Assassin's Creed Valhalla loaded up. It is working quite nicely. This is the intro sequence to the game. There's no noticeable stutter or graphical errors with this game. Sound again is muted. However, at home you will not have any issues with sound. Alright, that'll take us on to our next game. Next up we have Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is another game on my list that I've been itching to play. So here we have Final Fantasy VII Remake loaded up. This is the intro sequence. I did have a little bit of stuttering right there, but I don't know if that's just my PC and not the actual experience of the game. We do have the sound muted. Compared to the last game we played, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, this was really easy to jump right into and start playing. Alright, so we have Final Fantasy VII Remake loaded up. There was an intro sequence where there was a little bit of stuttering from time to time, nothing unmanageable, but this is my first time playing the game as well. I do want to mention that since this is a PC version of the game, the buttons on the screen do match up with the game. There's no added configuration I need to do. The instructions on the screen are going to match the controls for this game. I do have the sound muted, but otherwise everything else is coming in very clear. I have never played the original Final Fantasy VII, and I've been itching to play the remake because I loaded up the PlayStation version, and I like retro games, but that particular game did not age very well. Forgive me if I offend anybody there. But so far I do like what I see. I do feel that based on this remake here, I will have interest in continuing this game. Alright, that's going to conclude this test of Final Fantasy VII. The last game we're going to test today is going to be Horizon Zero Dawn. We do need to give some permissions here. Okay, I might have found the first game that does not load up here. I have Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm clicking play. I get this. Unfortunately, the game has crashed. You want to help fix the issue by sending a crash report? No. I have no other way of accessing this game, and I am going to assume that it doesn't work. So since that one didn't work, I'm going to go ahead and test another game. Here we have Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So we do have Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite loaded up. I am not able to play online. I will have to play disconnected. However, if you don't care about online connectivity, you are able to play with two people at home. So here is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. It is working just as I would expect it to. Graphics are coming in good, and all the controls are already configured the way you would expect this fighter game to be configured. So far, we've tested about 6 games. Only one of them failed to load. I don't know if there's a troubleshooting method to get it to work, but I will say that if anyone does figure out a way to get the game to load up, be sure to leave me a comment. And before we do conclude today's video, I do want to remind you that I do have a folder labeled A Gift for You, and I am interested to see what's inside, or interested to show you what's inside that folder. So from here, we'll go ahead and load it up. So as I mentioned, when I loaded up the Hyper Base PN Ultra, there is a folder titled A Gift to You. Inside, there's a folder labeled Retrobat. Retrobat is a retro console that will allow you to play games like N64, PlayStation, GameCube. When we load it up, we do have the Retrobat loading screen. A collection of retro games that were not advertised in the description. So here we have GameCube, with a bunch of games in here. I did scroll through here before making this video. The collection of games is not complete, so if you think you're going to have a complete collection of GameCube games or PlayStation games, it's not complete, but it is a nice little add-on to have some retro games included on here. We also have some Switch games, which also has some next generation games on here as well. We have Link's Awakening, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. It is not a complete list of Switch games, but they are included in here as well. So that's going to conclude today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. This 12 terabyte hard drive was quite surprising. There is a nice collection of newer aged games on here. It is not bogged down with Hyperspin or Launchbox. There's no additional software to install. And of the 6 games that I tested, all of them but one loaded perfectly. Only one of them had issues loading up, and that was Horizon Dawn. Otherwise, every game on here looked really good. Since they are the PC versions of the game, it was real easy to switch from mouse to keyboard or controller, whatever is appropriate for that game. And if you are using a controller, the controller's already configured to the configuration that's best suited for that game, which if you do emulate a lot of times half the battle is just getting your controller configured to that game. You will not have that issue with the games loaded here on Playnite. The other thing I do want to mention is that there was a folder labeled A Gift for You. In there was Retrobat, which has access to a whole bunch of emulators and ROMs, but it is not a complete list of emulators and ROMs. If you are interested in emulating games from the early 2000s and below, I do recommend looking at the reviews of the other 12 terabyte hard drives, because they do have a better collection of retro games on here. This one really does a good job of focusing in on newer games from 2015 and newer. A lot of games just made in the last 2 years, and the ones that I focused the review on today are going to be those newer games. Well, remember to leave me a comment in this video if there's a game in here that you want to make sure works. I'll test it out and let you know if I have a crash like I did with Horizon Dawn. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. You have a good day.